So we finished the previous video saying that the menstrual cycle has 28 days and that something important is going to happen in the ovary during those 28 days. This ovule is going to start growing, maturing in the follicle that gets bigger and bigger. After the ovulation, we got this corpus luteum releasing more hormones, estrogens here, progesterone there. But it's not everything that happens in the cycle, because if we stop looking at the ovary and we start looking at the uterus, something important happens in the uterus as well. Remember, day number 1 was the beginning of the menstrual cycle, so it would be here, the 1st of May that we mentioned. If the 1st of May is the first day that you start bleeding, it's because your endometrium is falling down. So it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. This period that we call the menstrual phase is going to last from day number 1 to day number 5, more or less. It could last longer, it could last shorter, depends on the woman, but more or less 5 days bleeding. Then after those 5 days, your endometrium is going to be very thin. See this thin layer? After being bleeding, menstrual flow, the endometrium is very thin. What is going to happen with this endometrium all along the month? That is going to grow and grow and grow, and it will go on growing until it's so thick that is already prepared for the hypothetical zygote to implant, to nest there, and then start feeding, because the mission of all this vascular layer is to feed the baby in case there is a pregnancy process. So it's all with a lot of blood vessels, all prepared for this nesting process. That is what we call the proliferative and the secretory phase. It starts growing, growing, and growing. And then, if there is no fertilization, if there is no zygote, what am I going to do with all this food? Shall I keep it for another month? No, my baby deserves the best. So what am I going to do with all that food? Throw it away in another menstrual process. If there is fertilization, this is going to feed the baby. If there's not, it's going to fall down and it will be another menstrual cycle. So remember, from day 1 to 5, what you're doing is you're bleeding. From day 6 to 13, it's growing and growing, but it's not ready for nesting, for receiving a zygote yet. It's going to be in the post-ovulation phase after day number 15, from day number 15 to day number 28, that your endometrium is prepared to receive this future baby. So let's see these two processes here. Oh, and all the mess with all those hormones, which is quite difficult. Well, this is representing the process in the ovary, the ovarian cycle. Tiny follicle that goes on growing and growing, and day number 14, the ovule goes out. Why does it happen? Why does the follicle know that it has to grow? Because it's receiving information from the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland was releasing luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. The one that is stimulating the follicle to grow, the one that is going to be responsible for the formation of the lutein body. the corpus luteum, luteinizing hormone. Both of them grow a lot just before the ovulation, and they will fall down after that. What happens here then? This follicle, as it was growing, was forming this estrogen. So estrogen will grow and grow and grow with at the same time as the follicle does. And the maximum level of estrogen will be very close to the number 14. Estrogens are very closely related to how pretty you feel. And you're going to realize, you girls will realize that you feel very pretty when you are in day number 14 in your cycle. Probably much prettier than how you feel when you're going to have the period. And why does it happen? Well, because your body needs to be very attractive when you are fertile, when the ovule is going to go out, because your reproductive system wants your reproduction. Are you going to be fertile when you're just about to have your period? No. Then does your body want you to be pretty and find someone to have intercourses with? No, because it's not going to be useful. That's how biology works. Okay? And let's see this yellow part. What happens here is that the level of progesterone is very low. Who is going to send out this progesterone, especially this corpus luteum? Progesterone is a hormone that is going to help in gestation, having a baby. So when are you going to have a high level of progesterone? When you are likely to have this baby. After ovulation, when this baby will be traveling to the uterus. What happens here? Why does it fall down? Well, if you are not pregnant, that is not going to happen many times in your life. So almost always, because you're not pregnant, this progesterone is going to fall down. Levels of progesterone will fall down because this corpus luteum is very small and small and small, so less progesterone. Then this progesterone level will fall down. You are not ready for this pregnancy process anymore. But if you were pregnant, then this level will rise and rise and rise more. And that's what you're going to detect in pregnancy tests. The level of this hormone, because it's so high that you can even find it in urine. So we've got the ovary process here. We've got the hormones, these two hormones here, these two hormones there, and that would be the endometrium. Menstrual cycle when you're bleeding, tiny endometrium that gets bigger and bigger and it falls down again after day number 28. Okay? And that's another summary, same graph. All the hormones together, luteinizing hormone produced by the pituitary gland suddenly increases there, day number 14 in the cycle. Is the same with this follicle stimulating hormone that suddenly rises day number 14. And then we've got estrogens that increase there, close to ovulation, and progesterone that is the only one that is going to be very low after the ovulation, and it increases 5 or 6 days after this ovulation in order to get you prepared for this hypothetical pregnancy process. So that's it. I hope that it was not so difficult to understand, but in case you have doubt, you can always watch the video again.